What up?
The alchemist talked about it in a lovely sequenced way, which makes it seem so wonderfully knowable. But for most of us, it's not quite so predictable. We do a little bit of one stage, and then another stage, we come back, pick up a thread. But the first stage that the alchemists called the nigredo, which we could think psychologically is that initial stage which is characterized by this experience of chaos and confusion and suffering. We're in that place where Jung has told us one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. The alchemists believed that metals had to be changed back into the premateria before they could be transmuted. So, and Joseph, this goes to what you were saying a minute ago. It's one of the basic sayings is, I think we've already said it, is salve et coaguleo. So dissolve and coagulate. And it implies psychologically that for change to happen, we have to go back to a former state before something new can come forward. And although I don't play golf, I have heard golfers complain that, if you develop a certain golf stroke, right? And then if you're going to try to improve that, the pro comes and tells you you're doing this wrong, you got to put your weight here, whatever they say. And people's game falls apart at that point. Like they can't play at all. That's the salve before they learn the new skill. So this is a pattern of this is also in the psychoanalytic world. It's sort of commonly known that you have to regress before you move forward. And Jung, of course, used a French phrase for that, recueillir pour mieux sauter, which is to kind of go back and sort of better jump forward. No, I think that our French listeners will be horrified at the pronunciation, but in any case, again, it's an archetypal pattern that in a change process, we have to go back to the way we were before, or sometimes just fall apart and dissolve before we can move forward into a new form.
See, the voice of reason. Leroy called me out yesterday. Yes, I was sent here by the cosmos to teach, but guess what? I get to be human and upset about it. Huh? What's your favorite movie where, there's this, the teacher comes to this school and all of the kids are wayward and what's that? I know you guys know the kids were bad and then the teacher won them over. What's the name of that movie?
Lean on Me.
Lean on Me. Lean on Me is a good one.
Kids.
There's another one, right? It's called Kids.
Yeah.
What's the one with Coach Carter?
Dangerous Minds.
Dangerous Minds. Somebody said Freedom Writers. So here's the thing, right? When I say I'm a teacher, just understand that teacher, if you're a good teacher, you understand that the pendulum between teacher and student is always swinging. You're not always a teacher, right? And you're not always the student. There are moments when, they say preparation meets opportunity equals success. There is a moment and many moments throughout our lives where preparation meets opportunity and we are the teacher in that moment. But then there are other moments when the sum total of everything we think we know is useless in that moment, and then we have to become students again. And the conflict arises within us when we resist the pendulum of life that swings from teacher to student. Many times this happens in intimate relationship. As the clip explained, sometimes you got to go back to the past. Sometimes you have to go back to the moment of that first hurt, of that first moment of neglect, of abandonment, of being shut down, that first moment of not being seen, of not being heard, of not being valued. Sometimes you got to go back there. But we built the life on getting away from there by having that moment contribute to the core of who we think we are. Listen to what I'm saying. We've elevated the moment we don't want to go back to. What I'm saying is what Carl Jung said, what we resist persists. We don't like the feeling. We don't like how that moment made us feel, but that moment has become the hands of the potter, the potter's house. That moment has sculpted our identity, right? So this takes me to today's topic. The great Bruce Lee said something that was quite profound, but I think people who are not healed, or even I am flawed in saying this. I keep saying healed. There is no healed. There's only healing, right? People who are not on the healing journey might misinterpret what the great Bruce Lee said. And of course, Bruce Lee pulled some of this stuff from Krishnamurti. He says, the only help there is self-help, self-improvement, self-help. Now, this can become problematic if you don't understand the depth of what's being conveyed, the meaning behind the statement. The only help there is self-help. Agree or disagree. Everything else is merely support. a deeper look into pathological suffering. Now, the second part of that, everything else is merely support. What that implies is it is not your partner's responsibility to regulate your emotions. If you modeled a situation that made it difficult for you to regulate your own emotions, whatever attachment style you may have gotten, whether it is dismissive avoidant or fearful avoidant or anxious preoccupied, it's not your partner's responsibility to co-regulate. Really, co-regulation is for adults and children. I'm going to help the baby co-regulate because they don't understand their emotions. I'm going to be present for the child. The child may not have a grip or an understanding of what their triggers may be. So I will co-regulate with the child, right? But for adults, if you have to co-regulate, somebody is imbalanced, right? Or they're two imbalanced people that need to learn how to co-regulate. Do you see? So people taking the quote, the only help there is self-help. Agree or disagree? Everything else is merely support. A deeper look into into pathological suffering. Now, the reason why we suffer is because we've identified with what happened. And usually when you identify with what happened, you become a victim of what happened. Do you see? Wherever there's a victim, there is the chance of entitlement. I know you don't want to hear it. I'm sorry. And I'm not saying there aren't real victims out there who have been wronged or hurt by somebody. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is when you identify as one, when it becomes part of yourself, this is where we get into trouble. Now, Krishnamurti's take on the only help there is self-help, this is what he said about it. He said, we are talking of something entirely different. Not of self-improvement, but of the cessation of the self. He's talking about the identity, the ego. When you look at the word ego, it means personality, ego, persona, who you think you are, right? Your identity, your personhood, right? Me, the me of it. This is who I am. Listen, and many of y'all don't even understand. This is where your truth comes from. Oof, I know I'm setting this thing up cold tonight. This is where your truth comes from, right? Well, my truth is it didn't happen that way. Do you see? Someone who has a perpetual victimhood mindset will always cast themselves as the victim. Do you understand? In the absence of effective self-help, what alternative frameworks can lead to genuine healing? What psychological constructs make self-help feel like a double-edged sword for individuals grappling with trauma? Is the basic objective of self-help to foster independence, or does it sometimes reinforce isolation? You guys remember what I said a couple weeks ago. Until there's internal neutrality, there cannot be relational mutuality. Internal neutrality, what is that? Being okay with self, accepting self, getting on the healing journey. Many people have an external routine, but the internal routine is rooted in chaos, and then they use the external routine as the crutch or the fence or the boundary to keep the internal chaos at bay. I know you don't want to hear it put this way, but many people do this. They don't understand. They don't understand. I've got to go into me, like the clip stated in the beginning. Sometimes you got to go back to what made, listen to how I'm gonna frame this. Sometimes you have to go back to the moment that made you who you think you are today. How might one redefine self-help from a relational perspective, considering the teachings of interdependence found in Buddhism? In what ways do self-care and self-reciprocity feed into each other, and how can they be misinterpreted as self-help? See, many people have misconstrued self-help, meaning I'm going to help myself. Listen to what I mean by that. I'm going to help myself to this. I deserve better. Not I'm going to work on myself. No. I'm going to help myself to whatever I think I want and deserve. How many people, the best way to get over somebody is to get on with somebody else? Huh? How many people have used distractions to so-called, quote unquote, move on? Whether it's drugs, drinking, alcohol, hypersexuality, just being out there doing things, traveling, just anything to get your mind off of what ultimately could heal you. Can self-care practices inadvertently lead to neglecting deeper emotional wounds, and so on? Self-care practices. What is he talking about? Oh, I'm going to take a bath. Oh, I'm going to go to a concert. Oh, I'm going to go to the beach. Oh, I'm going to go have cocktails with the girls. Yes, distractions must not be classified as self-help. When I come forward, if you think I'm done with this setup, you out of your rabbit mind. Lord have mercy, I got so much more to talk about. Yo, what up? Zoe Williams, the voice of reason in the building. Everybody hit the like button, hit the like button, hit the like button, hit the like button. Let's get it. Like and share. Can y'all see where this is going? Can y'all see where we going? Hey, thank you, John Gilbreth, for reminding people they can support. Attila, thank you for putting in my relationship roundtable. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Make it when and where, sir? To the show? Okay, cool. Y'all hit that like button. Hit that like button. Come on, support your brother Zoe. There's a few people in here who haven't liked it. Get to your phone lines. Nick Love, what up? Distractions do not equal self-care. You hear me? Is it in Inglewood? What are you talking about, Theo? I'm confused. What's up, good brother?
What's up?
We live on the air, so you guys can go in there, but I'm bringing you in.
Oh, okay.
You're coming in.
Okay. You can have a seat over there. right here. This first door opening right here, and then the bathrooms are on the inside. No problem. 5 in a minute.
Andy,
Yeah.
he gonna use that one.
I mean, for right now, use that though. Joe, keep the same mic for right now though.
For right now.
Right now, yeah.
Yes, sir. What up, y'all? Y'all like that? Unhealthy distractions don't equal self-care. I be trying to tell folk. This one's a girl. Let's name her Pam. But you don't give a damn. Let's get married in a house. Listen.
We seem to be more free than ever before. We can order whatever food we'd like, we can travel almost anywhere, and pursue any career that our heart desires. And yet, depression and burnout are also everywhere. The mental health crisis has only increased. Why is this? When was the last time you felt like you were enough? We are always striving to do more and to be more, to always be improving ourselves. I would argue that it is this cultural emphasis on self-improvement that leaves us so fundamentally burnt out and depressed. In such a culture, we embrace hyperactivity, finding ourselves in a state of compulsive striving. We have little time to connect with both ourselves and others. We are steeped in the normalized myth that we are each of us mere individuals, striving to attain private goals. The more we define ourselves that way, the more estranged we become from vital aspects of who we are and what we need to be healthy. Our culture is not good for mental health, and this shouldn't be shocking news. Researchers like Tim Kasser have found the 4 principles of American corporate capitalism: self-interest, a desire for financial success, consumerism, and competition, consistently lead to poor mental health outcomes. Why then do we...
Did you hear all of that? Did you hear all of that? And that's just the social piece. That's on top of what happened to you in that moment. The moment that made you feel like you weren't enough. The moment that made you feel like you were unworthy. That's what happened. Can personal introspection and self-awareness alone address complex life challenges? What is an example of self-help is the best help, right? What is the inability to care for self-help needs? Why doesn't self-help help? What are the disadvantages of self-help? How effective is self-help? Do self-help methods always consider the impact of external factors on personal relationships? How can one ensure that they are not simply avoiding deeper issues by relying solely on self-help? Bruce Lee's philosophy, particularly encapsulated in his quote, "The only help there is self-help," right? Speaks to the intrinsic power of individual agency and self-awareness in the healing process. When we consider the notion that relationships are divinely fine-tuned mirrors reflecting our unhealed traumas back upon ourselves, we can reconcile this perspective with Lee's assertion in several profound ways. One, Lee took it from Krishnamurti, the mirroring function of relationships. Relationship often serves as mirrors, right? Revealing aspects of ourselves that we may not fully acknowledge or that we might be resisting. They can highlight our insecurities, fears, and unresolved traumas, acting as a catalyst for introspection and personal growth. Remember, your partner is just that, a partner. They are walking with you. They're not doing the work for you. They're walking with you. That's what support and presence means. It doesn't mean I got to go inside your trauma and help you lift it. No, you have to lift it. And also find strength in their presence. Find resilience in the fact that they're there when nobody else would be. Oh, we have more to cover. When we come forward, I'm going to go even deeper. That's 30 minutes so fast. What up, what up, what up, what up, what up? Everybody hit that like button. Come on, let's get involved. I want to talk to folk tonight. I got somebody in the building that's going to come in and sit with me. We're going to talk about it. It's going to be cold-blooded. We got 6 minutes on this break. So now's the time to like it. Now's the time to share it. Now's the time to super chat. Now's the time to Cash App. Go ahead and support the best way you know how. When we support as a collective movement, it makes a greater impact for your brother Zoe Williams, especially as it pertains to supporting this channel. There are multiple ways to do it. You can buy a book. You can buy He Is Risen. You can go to my Cash App, $ Zoe What Netter. You can hit the super chat, which is a little $ down at the bottom of the chat. There's so many ways to support because this thing is about to take off like a rocket. All right? Are you guys following what I'm laying down right now?
Hey, tell motherfuckers if they calling, they need to know who they calling for.
They don't.
They saying, "Oh, with the guy on YouTube." Nigga, who's the guy on YouTube? I
They
know
call-
who we're talking about, but
Andy don't like that. Call and say, I'm trying to get on the Voice of Reason.
It was Zoe Williams. Say that shit.
Andy don't like it. Call and say, I'm trying to get on with Zoe Williams. The Voice of Reason with Zoe Williams.
I'm gonna act stupid.
Not the guy on YouTube. Oh, let me just help this. Let me help you guys understand real quick. So I'm broadcasting from my phone to YouTube. Okay? This is the behind the scenes of a live terrestrial radio show. So as I can say ass, butthole, niggertry, I can say all of that during the breaks, but on the air, I cannot use profanity. Why? Because this is terrestrial radio, right? This is the radio you hear in your car. This is the radio you know, if you want to listen on your phone, you know, app nowadays, right? This is terrestrial radio. No different than Big Boy in the Morning, no different than Ricky Smiley. Do you understand? So, oftentimes when people watch me on YouTube, they think it's a YouTube show, when in fact, this is a live terrestrial radio show. We are at KBLA 1580 AM in Los Angeles, California. This is a radio station that is owned by Tavis Smiley. All right. So it's a talk station. My show is a relationship show. Brother, come on. Let me get you right. Come on, have a seat. Take this mic. Grab those headphones over there. Now, I'm going to give you a brief synopsis. All right, really quickly. We got 2 minutes. The only help there is self-help. Agree or disagree, everything else is merely support, a deeper look into psychological suffering. Oftentimes, when we look at self-help, we think about doing something, as opposed to being with whatever wounds, you know, we've accumulated since childhood that has helped mold our sense of self, right? And so we take this quote from Bruce Lee, the only help there is self-help. And I'm saying, I'm pushing back.
You don't need any water, sir? You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
I'm simply saying, you can't help yourself. I didn't want to give this away so early, but I'm going to give it away now. You can't help yourself until you accept yourself.
Okay.
That's the purpose of the whole show,
Okay.
right? You accept yourself in love. You accept yourself in empathy. You can't help yourself until you accept yourself.
Yeah.
Do you see? And that is the voice of the show. And I've asked a lot of questions, and I'm setting up a few things, and then we're going to deal with callers. And of course, I'm going to throw it to you, get your perspective, right? And you being a therapist, you know what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what it
I
is.
think I do. I better.
After all these years, right? Yeah, I think you're going to be quite all right. You're going to be quite all right, brother. Yo, man, y'all never believe who in here right now. Are you on YouTube?
No, I'm on with Facebook.
Oh, you live?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, y'all ain't gonna never believe. I'm gonna flip the camera around so y'all can see him when he introduced himself. Y'all seen him in the chat before. He be in the chat. Oh, here we go. Let me see. Can you hear?
No.
Let me see. This me. Is that you?
No. That's it.
Am I good?
Yeah.
What would you estimate are the boundaries between self-care and selfishness?
Well, that's a good follow-up question for what we've been just discussing. Well, the first thing we have to sort out there is, well, what do you mean by self? And people make memes about me because I'm always asking for word definitions. But, and it annoys people because they think, well, it's just, you know what that means. It's like, is God real? What do you mean by real? Well, you can't ask that. It's like, well, then you can't ask your question either. What do you mean real? Well, everyone understands that. It's like, really, we do we understand what's real. We've got that nailed down. What you're really asking is something like, here's what I am insisting that you regard as real, which is usually something like an objective materialism. Does God fit into that category? It's like, well, that's a completely different question than the one you asked. No, perhaps, is the answer to that question, but you didn't formulate the question reasonably, because when you formulate a question like, is God real? God's a mystery in that question, and so is real. Mm-hmm. And you don't get away with the axiomatic presupposition that you've got real nailed down, and all we have to do now is mop up God. It's not. It's not reasonable. It's not acceptable in the least. It's just a trick, and it's not a very sophisticated trick. And so, in this situation, selfishness versus self-care. Well, I think really the issue there is the definition of self. So, whatever the self is very complicated, because it's really what you are at your core. That's the question. That's unbelievably complicated. It's like, what the hell do you know about who?
See? Do you see? What are you at your core? And for many of us, can I just be really honest right now? For many of us, we are what happened to us. Which means that's not you. And many of us don't even understand that until we get elevated in age, right? Whatever happened to you is not you. But many of us identify with what happened to us. Now, watch this. When you're not yourself, you lean on everything else outside of you to supplement what you think you need. This is why I need my needs met. Is so big in relationships, right? So watch this. You don't need a book. You don't need a priest. You don't need a psychologist. Many people say, Zoe, what are you talking about? Yes, we do. We need help. Now watch this. Krishnamurti. To know yourself, you need not go to any book, to any priest, to any psychologist. The whole treasure is within yourself. Here's the problem. Most people who have been hurt, and we talk about maladaptive, insecure attachment styles, they don't see themselves as a treasure, which is why they go out to the book, to the person, to the priest, to the relationship. This is why they go out in search of, instead of going in love. Self-care is self-empathy. The empathy for, oh, this happened to me, but it's not my fault. They said I wasn't enough, but I believe them because I love them. Oh, man, let me introduce my friend, man. He flew all the way out here from Madagascar, Africa. No. He got out of Florida just in time, didn't you?
Just in time.
Come on, man. Introduce yourself to the people, man.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Coach Baruti. As Zoe said, I just escaped to evacuate from the hurricane that's getting ready to rip through my beautiful little town, the town called Eatonville. It's the first and the oldest Black incorporated town in the United States. We're the home of Zora Neale Hurston, Joyce Cinderella Irby, Deacon Jones.
Wait, Joyce Irby?
Joyce Irby.
Producer? Climax?
That's my wife's first cousin.
Come on, man. She produced Troop. Come on.
News Ladies Radio.
I know who she is. Come on. Yes.
So we got a wonderful town, Chucky Atkins. He played for the Lakers for a short.
I remember
stint.
Chucky Atkins.
Yeah. So that's where I'm from. We're 2.5 miles, and we're making big and beautiful things happen there.
So talk to me about this quote, which is the premise, of the show tonight. And that is, the only help there is self-help. Now, can a person who hasn't gotten to a state of self-neutrality, now this isn't a psychological term, this is a term that I'm using. Self-neutrality meaning I'm okay. I'm all right as me. Everything that's me, hurt, good, bad, dark, indifferent, I'm okay with me. Self-neutrality. Can a person who hasn't gotten to that level actually use self-help to heal? Talk to me.
No. I would say that's the short answer. It's not complicated. I mean, it's to say it's complicated to do, but it's not complicated to be aware of. Some years ago, my revelation, I was standing in front of the mirror, just found myself crying. And I realized that I was always the driver to every destination that I ever went to.
Come on, I'm listening. Come on.
So, and I sat next to my wife, and she was like, "What's wrong?" I said, "I realized that I'm just like full of crap." So I just began to work on me, and then all of the things that were existing in our relationship that were causing us to be separate on whatever issues that we were separate on began to go away. So I just realized that I had been teaching this, but I hadn't been embracing it and embodying it.
Come on.
And that is, the journey is always inward.
Yes.
So once I started focusing on me, everything else began to fall into play.
And when you do that, if you're lucky enough to have someone to love you through that process,
Exactly,
they become what they were always meant to be, and that is your companion.
Yes.
Support.
Yes.
They can walk with you through your journey.
Right.
And they're not obligated to co-regulate for you. They're not obligated to, come and carry your weight for you. Because many of us have the idea that is what a good partner should do.
Right.
Is carry the burden of your unhealed wound, which is really your work and your work alone. You're the one with the keys and the code to the wound. Right. Am I right?
Absolutely.
Talk to me.
Kevin Samuels was absolutely right as long as you played the game that Kevin Samuels was talking about. Nothing he said mattered unless you were in that game. So coming to being your authentic self.
Right.
Is a challenge, but it's absolutely necessary. Realizing we find it easy to accept what's good about ourselves, but that bad side and that ugly side, that's what we actually attach ourselves to people to help us manage, or actually most often we want them to manage that part of ourselves rather than to be us. But as you say on the show all the time, your relationship is a mirror. So what you're looking at is looking right back at you, and is allowing you to see what you have to work on, and you have to put yourself in position to allow all that you see about yourself to recognize that is your authentic self.
But you do know it's very difficult. Say the fearful avoidant has the ick, dismissive avoidants have icks. Many people are triggered. Anxious, preoccupied, deals with anxiety. Are they going to leave me? Am I worthy? Am I good enough? So everybody is in a perpetual motion to move away from that which is uncomfortable.
Yeah, but it's simple. You have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. I mean, it's
if you want to heal.
Yeah, right.
If you want to start that process.
If you want to start the process, because we know that you never are going to be a perfect being.
Right.
But you can reduce the friction. You can reduce the
The intensity of it.
The
Yes.
intensity of it. You can lessen the impact.
Yes.
And then what used to trigger you no longer triggers you.
Right.
Sometimes people like to say, "You did this to me." Well, I don't know if that's necessarily true. I think you can be in a situation where if you haven't dealt with something and then I say something and then you say I hurt your feelings. Well, did I hurt your feelings or did you hurt your feelings for failing to deal with this in a way that when you did hear it from me, you weren't triggered?
Listen, you know how many people would rather go work out in a gym than work out their wounds? Because what you just described, you were talking about building wound tolerance. You know, you can get to a point where you can plateau when you're working out.
Right.
And you go, I got to up the tolerance. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now what used to trigger you, right, won't trigger you anymore. It will take a more intense situation or event in order to trigger you if you've been working on that wound. Listen, when I come forward, Coach Baruti and Zoe Williams up in here cutting up. Let's get it. Brother Baruti.
Sir, yes, sir.
Hey, man, tell everybody, man. Y'all know him. Y'all might not know his face, but you guys know him. Tell him your handle in the chat.
Brotherhood, manhood,
Fatherhood. Brotherhood, manhood, fatherhood. Y'all see him in here all the time. They want to know how they spell your name.
B-A-R-U-R-U-T-I.
T-I. Baruti. Coach Baruti in the house. They like, say word. Yeah, he up in here. All the way from Florida. Are y'all listening? I hope y'all listening. Because, hey, the flames is happening right now. That's what I'm talking about, man. Thank you, brother. He came to the So What show yesterday, too. We was in there cutting up.
Yeah.
Everybody hit that like button. Everybody hit that super chat button. Don't slouch on the super chat. We got a guest here. We got company. Y'all got to show up and show out. Sometimes y'all got to show up and pop out and show people. Come on.
That's just right.
They got your Instagram up. All right. Follow Coach Baruti on Instagram. There you go. Thank you. So explain what the book you like, sir, and you don't get off like that. I don't know what you mean. Zoe, explain what that book you like, sir, you don't get. I don't know what that means. I try to read every word by itself. Do it again.
What's up, Cobbin? You're absolutely right. One of my coworkers said there is no growth in comfort.
There is no growth in comfort. Lift your wound up instead of lifting dumbbells. Yeah, what up? Everybody say what up. Hey, somebody just hit us with $4.99. T. Ross, peace and blessings, brother Zoe. Listen, if everybody dropped a 5 spot on that Cash App super chat, we would have a good day. It's 42 people in here. No, it's not a lot of people in here, but you know how many thousands of people are watching this on podcasts, listening to it? Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, Google Play? It's all over the place, man. We out of control. 90,000 downloads last month.
That's excellent.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Top 3% of all podcasts in the world. Zoe Williams, Voice of Reason.
The 12-step program.
We all joke about the first step, admitting you have a problem, but it's the 12th step that matters. If an alcoholic masters all 11 steps and not the 12th, it's highly likely they'll drink again. If they master the 12th step, they're much more likely to overcome the disease. The 12th step is the commitment to help another alcoholic. It's service. And this really is the most powerful thing in the world, which is, it's not about us, it's about others. You know, there's an entire section in the bookshop called self-help. There's no section in the bookshop called help others. Right? And it's not about how can I lose 10 pounds? How can I find the job that I love? How can I find the love of my life? You know? No. It's not how can I lose 10 pounds. It's how can I help somebody I care about live a healthy lifestyle. It's not how can I find the job that I love. It's how can I help somebody I care about find a lifetime of joy in their work. It's not how can I find true love. It's how can I help my friends settle down and live the life they want to live. And
There is no helping others until you help yourself. You can't help yourself until you confront yourself. And then you think confronting oneself is an aggressive action, but it isn't. It's a non-judgmental, observation-based action. It's almost like, listen to what I'm about to say, because many of you are attached to your ego. And it was the Buddha who said, attachment is the source of suffering. So you're attached to who you think you are, but the moment you start to look at yourself from a non-attached, loving space, empathetic space, unattached, I accept you as you are. You don't have to be anything. It's not your fault. Whatever happened to you is not you. You're looking at yourself from that perspective, not knowing that this is how you start the healing process, right? Many of us have identified with the hurt, wounded child, and now that person or that moment is in the driver's seat of our lives. Krishnamurti says it this way: introspection is not self-improvement, and therefore introspection is self-centeredness. Awareness is not self-improvement. On the contrary, it is the ending of the self, of the I, the ego, right? Who you think you are, who the wound told you you were. It is the ending of that, with all its particular idiosyncrasies, memories, demands, and pursuits. In introspection, there is identification and condemnation. Right? In awareness, there is no condemnation or identification. Therefore, there is no self-improvement. There is a vast difference between the two. Your thoughts before we go to our caller?
When you join something, you got to, as you said before, when you join something, you have to defend it. So all of the things that you think made you who you think you are. It's, there was a song in the 70s, Who Do You Think You Are? Mr. Big Stuff.
Mr. Big Stuff.
Mr. Big Stuff.
Yes.
Right, so who do you think you are? And once you begin to ask who do you think you are, then you get to ask yourself some more questions like, who made you that? What made you that? And then in breaking that down and into little bite-sized pieces, you get to begin to tear away and because getting rid of your ego, it's a painful process.
Right.
Right. And then you have and there's a grieving phase.
Right.
Right. But then you begin to build back up.
Right. And it's hard to say in empathetic, non-judgmental, non-detached love that my mother didn't do a good job.
Right.
Or that my father didn't do a good job.
Absolutely.
It's hard to say that.
Yes.
Right? Because there is love even in the toxicity that was produced by the limitation of whatever toolbox they had.
Right.
conflict resolution, conflict management, communication issues, abuse. It's really difficult to look at them without resentment, without judgment, without condemnation. Remember, Krishnamurti, identification and condemnation. It's really difficult to do that. You ready to talk to our caller?
Absolutely.
From Florida, you already know what it is. Pensacola, Florida, Nzinga. I swear I hope you're okay tonight.
Yes, sir, I am. Thank you, thank you. Hey, so how are you? How's everybody? Coach, I'm glad you made it.
Thank you.
Safely out of Florida. You're welcome, you're welcome. I was supposed to call the other day, but I chickened out.
That's all right. It's okay. You get the chicken out. It's all right. You get the chicken out. But talk to me. Talk to me. What are your thoughts on tonight's topic?
Well, I guess I want to call because I want to, cape for self-care. I think it gets a bad rap. I think people think it's spa days and procrastination and doing everything except the work.
Mm-hmm.
And I think maybe, I don't even want to say Instagram, maybe TV movies.
Mm-hmm.
New Year's self-care Sundays and it's champagne.
And strawberries, chocolate-covered strawberries. Don't forget that. No, but go ahead. Right?
Yeah, no, seriously.
Mm-hmm.
But I think self-care is the bridge to everything that you're discussing tonight.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
I think that self-care is more of the mindfulness.
Yes.
The journal.
But I think
walking, going in nature trails and stuff like that, and resetting.
Yes, and I think we're both saying the same things, but I wanted to make the distinction that self-care isn't those distractions. You have to remember, if you're walking, and which is a beautiful thing, is you're walking, but you're not working. Sometimes a walk can be an escape. Do you see? And that's okay for a moment. But the reality of it is, at some point, you have to sit down, whether you're walking, whether you're whatever, sitting by the ocean, at some point, you have to sit down and embrace that wound. And many people will rather take the walk and not deal with the wound. We're not saying self-care isn't important. We're saying don't let the activity be the vehicle for escaping self-care itself.
Another distraction.
Stay with me, and Nzinga, you right on point with us. When we come forward, more from Pensacola, Florida.
KBLA.
Show flying.
Yeah. It does go by fast.
It go fast. That's the first hour. Nzinga on fire. I hope you guys are enjoying this.
Nzinga's still awake. It's 11 o'clock.
It's 11 o'clock there. Yeah. What up, y'all? You guys enjoying the show? You guys enjoying Coach Baruti? They go to brother Coach Baruti in the house. Say what's up to the folk, man.
What up, everybody? How's it going?
And a lot of people, man, I want to say this on the air. A lot of people don't know self-care, another form of self-care, and a lot of people will not like this, but another form of self-care is the dark night of the soul.
Absolutely.
Because when you go through the dark night of the soul and you come out on the other end, you've been cared for.
Yeah,
you've been purged. Right. A lot of people don't want to see that. They don't want to.
It's like it likens to getting out of a relationship that was really weighing you down, and you didn't even realize you were carrying anything until you're out of a relationship. And
do you see?
Feel much lighter.
Come on, man. Everybody's in the building. Hey, get to your phone lines right now. Call me, 1-800-920-1580. We want to talk to everybody. Don't be afraid. It's work tonight. We got to do that work. Who's willing to call in and get an impromptu coaching session from Coach Baruti? Who's willing to call in? Who has the courage? Because I know this is hard work.
Absolutely.
To be able to sit down with a coach who's knowledgeable, who has a skill set that can get you from one space to the next, that's invaluable. They should be taking advantage, in my opinion.
Become your cellmate. Does black love still exist? What are your bedroom turnoffs? Fantasies and fetishes. Financial infidelity. I'm dating a bad person. Are they worth the wait? Trust me, this gonna be crazy.
How about the heavy stuff? The child wasn't here, and you still had to pay child support.
It's a very heated topic.
How is that right?
Mama's baby, daddy's maybe.
I just have so many questions I want to ask you.
I was like, is this something wrong with that?
He told me he had a vasectomy. I'm pregnant.
Betrayal has been committed.
Hit you with the bad touch routine.
How does he maintain his humposity?
He likes it when it pinches my lips.
Why can't you open up, brother?
I'm a karate man.
I'm not going to adjust the camera.
On the inside, they don't show their weaknesses. Yeah.
How do you write women so well?
So William,
Reason and accountability.
the voice of reason.
Dr. Ami, let's start talking about what self-sabotaging is.
So self-sabotaging literally is what it sounds like. It's when a person literally undercuts their ability typically to achieve a goal. So, or an intention of any kind. It doesn't even have to be as aspirational as a goal. It's just even daily health habits, from getting a decent night's sleep, to eating healthy, to brushing their teeth. I mean, it can be any small health habits, big health habits. And they almost set things up in a way, not intentionally, but in a way that they're not even fully aware of, that all but guarantees a fail. And I always tell my clients that self-sabotage is a way to support your dysfunctional hypothesis. So if your hypothesis is, I'm a failure, and then all these self-sabotaging things come out, there's a certain satisfaction at the end of the day saying, hey, look, I'm a failure. You know, like there's this almost very upside down kind of win that takes place. And I have to say, self-sabotage in some form plagues over half of the clinical population I work with. And that when they're able to see, they don't even think of it at the time. But it's almost as though they come to each session presenting the week's failures to me. Wow. You know, like a prize, like a confirmation. At least I was right about that, right? And that I sometimes wonder if the self-sabotage, which is then associated with the whatever negative position they're trying to maintain, becomes the one part of their life they can control.
Wow, that was so beautifully said. Grace, when you're working with clients, what are some common ways that people self-sabotage?
One that came to mind as I was listening to Dr. Ramani share is about finances. A fascinating form of self-sabotage could be, let's say, for example, you really respect your father, and the most he ever made was $75,000 a year. And all of a sudden, you in your adult life can't seem to ever make more than $75,000 a year. And in the process of hypnotherapy, you come to understand that it would be disrespectful to earn more than your father. And so that's common. Also, if you don't believe you're worthy or deserving of earning a certain amount. And another massive one is if you hate rich people. Because, again, your subconscious is here to keep you safe. So if somebody cuts you off in a regular car, and you're annoyed that they've done that, but you move on with your day. But then somebody cuts you off in a Corvette, and it's not just that they were a rude driver, it's they're that rich, right? Must be nice. Your subconscious will never allow you to become something you hate. Ever. And so what happens is money comes in, it goes out. Or you don't have the confidence to ask for the raise that you're worthy and deserving of. Or you don't go for the positions that would actually compensate you in the way that you are worthy and deserving of. So there are so many ways that we self-sabotage, but one of the most fascinating ways is financially.
Yeah, I've never understood.
Man, oh man, a Shevitz. Your subconscious will never let you become something you hate. So when you love unconditionally the primary caregiver that hurt you, you're destined to become them. What? Yeah, that just happened right here. That just happened. The only help there is self-help. But you can't help yourself until you accept yourself. And many of us will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid accepting ourselves, even looking at ourselves. That's Carl Jung. We don't even want to see ourselves, let alone accept ourselves. Yikes. We could throw daddy away, but we'll keep mama. Right? Shaquille O'Neal threw dad away. His biological father threw him away. LeBron did the same. Threw him away. But it doesn't matter how toxic mama. Do you understand how powerful mama and the mother wound is? This is why the sister, LMFT, Delana Zimmerman said there are no father wounds because fathers come from mothers. So she said there's only the mother wound. Talk to me, brother.
One of the most when I do my show, we tend to have a live audience. Mm-hmm. So one of the most powerful shows that we did was titled "I'll Always Love My Mama." Can we question how Black women are mothering their children?
I ain't gonna question my mom.
It was
go ahead.
it was a really powerful show, but the sisters in the audience were extremely upset at the fact that we were questioning things, and that we were pointing out things mm-hmm. to a point where they couldn't even hear the love. Mm-hmm. Like one of the brothers said, my mom didn't get a 6th grade education, but she made sure that I understood the value of an education.
Right.
And today I'm back in school, almost 50 years old, getting my doctor's degree. Mm-hmm. And what the young lady heard him say was, his mother was dumb. And he said no. And I mean, the rest of the guys, we were all saying, no, that's not what he's saying.
Right.
He said because she went so far, she made sure that he understood the value of it. Mm-hmm. But she was, in a different place. So how we look at our moms is interesting. I was very fortunate. Thank you. Mm-hmm. I was very fortunate because I was my mother's primary caregiver. Mm-hmm. And so in the last 6 years, she and I spent a lot of time together. We got very, very close. Mm-hmm. And we began to deal with things that we hadn't dealt with before.
Right.
Right. So the things that she was hiding, she began to, we just really went through the process and we just really dealt with it. Got extremely close.
Right.
Before she left us. So that was something I didn't ever anticipate happening. Mm-hmm. But because she got to the point where I had to care for her every day and we had to spend every day together, it was a slow process, but it was a necessary process.
That's like my best friend right now. His mother's 98 years old. He's her caregiver. And he loves the whole process. I think sometimes because mother is a superhero mm-hmm. in our life, mother is a deity mm-hmm. in our life, we just accept her unconditionally.
Right.
And that's all right. This isn't to besmirch any mothers out there. And I think we do a disservice to our mothers by not seeing, yes, they have a divine side, but we do a disservice when we don't see them as a work in progress, a human being as well, because we have these expectations. A good mama would do this. If a mother who cared, sometimes we have to see our mothers as works in progress too, doing the best that they can do at their current level of development.
See them as people.
See them as a human being.
Yeah, we have that thing where, excuse me, we say a good man or a good woman. Mm-hmm. Well, what we're saying is there's no such thing as a good man or a good woman. All of us are good, all of us are bad, and all of us have an ugly side.
Right.
So when you come to that realization about yourself, you can actually see it in everybody else. And then you can offer everybody grace.
Right. I love that. Let's get her back in here. Nzinga. Sister Nzinga, please give me your final thought. I know you got something for me.
Yeah, so my final thought, and you might not necessarily agree with me, nobody might necessarily agree with me, but I guess that's not my real concern. It's just what I observe and how I feel about it.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, I guess, especially when you've gone through trauma,
Mm-hmm.
getting to the work, sometimes you have to decompress.
Mm-hmm.
And that might be moving a little slower,
Mm-hmm.
going to bed on time,
Mm-hmm.
eating.
Mm-hmm.
So, or maybe taking a bath,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe going to get a pedicure.
Mm-hmm.
And I know some people may see that as distractions, but depending on where you're coming from or what type of trauma you had, sometimes you may need to decompress a bit.
And why do you think why do you think we disagree with that? Or I disagree with that?
No.
Well, I 100% agree with what you're saying. Like, I 100% agree with what you're saying. So,
when I, a lot of times when you mention self-care, soft life, or just different things, the reactions that you get from people, I guess they're not looking at it from a person who may need it.
Right.
From their point of view.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times people may see it as lazy.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe taking an easy way out.
Mm-hmm.
And so
wait, let me stop you because that's a good point. Lazy or taking the easy way out. That's a good point. And the point before was they may need it. That's what she said.
Right.
They may need this.
Right.
So let's address that. If I go to the dentist, I'm going to need that shot. I don't need the gel. You know, the gel don't ever work. They be like, oh, let's put the gel. No, I'm going to need about 6 or 7 shots. And I need to almost be unconscious, right, with the shot. Like, I can't feel my eyelids. I can't feel nothing, right? I'm going to need that. I think you're missing, maybe you're not missing it, but for those who might be missing what's happening here, there are people who will try to live off of the Novocaine. Couched as self-help. Couched as soft life. Couched as self-care. That's the point I'm making. And as me and Coach Baruti was talking about offline, don't you know the dark night of the soul is self-care? Mm-hmm. Go look up the dark night of the soul. You think you think the dark night of the soul is the soft life? It is not. And the point is, yes, you can prepare yourself to do the work. And yes, you can pamper yourself before, during, and after. No one is in disagreement with that. What I'm saying is that can't be self-care alone, right? So when Krishnamurti talks about observation, right? The observance of the self as it is, not the ideal self. No, you know, when I get this degree, man, watch out, world. Wait till I get my money right, boy. I'm gonna be something to do. And we're not talking about these things. We're talking about when you finally get aware enough, conscious enough to observe yourself as you are, it doesn't frighten you to look upon yourself. That's self-care right there.
Right.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. And I'm not talking about the fact that using self-care as a crutch
Mm-hmm.
to not get to the hard part. I'm definitely not talking about them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about the people who want to get to the hard part, but maybe need to, just for instance, like EMDR therapy.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's not something you can just jump into.
Right.
You have to be prepped for that.
Yeah.
So I guess that's my point. Prepping to tend to the wound.
Yes. Yes.
That's self-care.
Oh, I like that.
So I get everything you're saying. I just wanted to add that. I don't, sometimes people think self-care is laziness and it's not always that. You're coming out of something traumatic, like fighting that war. Maybe you might have to go to an island for 6 months before coming back to America.
Yes. No, you're 100% right. And Zinga, that's why I love and miss your calls, girl, because you always got these amazing perspectives, and you got to call in more. Stop hiding. Bring your tail on back to the voice of reason where you started. Come on back in here, okay? We love you. Be safe out there, all right? Man, that was a great call. Woo, and Zinga on fire. Listen, if you want to join the conversation with myself and Coach Baruti, all you got to do is hit those digits, 1-800-920-1580. We got a lot to talk about. We're going to College Station, Texas, and we're going to Charleston, South Carolina. The smoke continues. That was great.
She's always good. She's always good.
Yo, and Zinga's amazing. Y'all want to call in? Y'all scared? Theo about to get cooked. Chakra Q up in here. I understand no amount of facials will cover your wounds. Self-work is necessary. That's all I'm saying. Sometimes we get so caught up in the activities and we think the activity is the act of self-care.
Right.
And I would even say if we put self-care on a spectrum, it is.
Need more water, Coach? Yes, sir, please.
It is self-care, right?
Right.
But as you progress into self-care, you start to lean into the real work.
Right. Because, I think it's like, I liken it to some of the young women that I watch, the single moms that are really trying to get out and go have a good time. They want to go out and dance and party because they want to they want to feel good.
Right.
So they get in the habit of I'm going to go out and have a good time. And then when they're out, they're not really having a good time, but now they're forcing themselves to make it look like they're really having a good time.
Because it's an escape.
Right. Right. So I'm here. I came out to escape, but it doesn't feel like an escape. So now they need to do more stuff to escape, and then they have to do more stuff to escape. And after a certain point, there's nowhere else to go.
More doing than being.
Yeah. Right. Right.
And Zinga was amazing, man. No ifs, ands, or buts. What up, y'all? Shout out to the sidewalk for keeping me off the streets. That's funny. Shout out to the sidewalk for keeping me off the streets.
That's funny.
Oh, I love that. That's fire. Shout out to the sidewalk for keeping me off the street. That was great. You guys enjoying yourselves? You can't tell me this show didn't fly by. Go to my Cash App, $Zoe what Netter. All right? You can't hide from yourself. No.
But they try. They try.
Yeah.
It's lonely at the top, and whatever you do, y'all always gotta watch all the people around you. Nobody's invincible, no plan is foolproof. We all must meet our moment of truth. The same shiesty cats that you hang with and do your thing with can set you up and wet you up. Keep the language, it's universal. You play with fire, it may hurt you or burn you. Lessons are lessons you should learn to. Let's face facts. Although MCs lays tracks, it doesn't mean behind the scenes there ain't no dirt to trace back. That goes for all of us. There ain't nobody to trust. It's like sabotage. It's got me ready to bust, but I can't jeopardize what I've done up to this point. So I'ma get more guys to help me run the whole joint. Cultivate, multiply, motivate, or else we'll die. You know I'll be the master of the who, what, where, and why. See when you're shining, some chumps will wanna dull you. Always selfish, jealous punks will wanna pull you down. Just like some shellfish in a bucket, cause they love it. Your ass is the worm, but just as you receive what is coming to you, everybody else is gonna get this too. I ain't no saint, therefore I can't dispute.
We are all changing all the time. It is the very nature of existence. So why do some people seem to be changing more than others? Why are some people changing for the better while others are changing for the worse? And more importantly, how do we take control of the change in our life and decide where it goes? These are the questions that have plagued me since I was young. Because I remember a time in my life where I was changing for the worse every day. And I felt like I had no control. I was a teenager and I had started to become depressed for reasons I didn't understand. Started failing my classes, started smoking cigarettes. I quit my sports teams, fought with my friends and my family. And this was particularly distressing to my mom. She would come into my room every night and ask me questions like, why are you unhappy? How can I help? And mostly because I didn't know the answer, I would just brush her off. And then one night she came in and she asked me something. She said, Charlie, what is going to become of your life? And I will never forget what I said. I told her, I'm going to grow up and be a failure. And I cried harder than I had ever cried that night because when I said it, I believed it. I believed that there was nothing I could do to change my future. My mom disagreed, and after exhausting a long list of options, she made the hard and drastic decision to send me across the country to a wilderness rehabilitation center in rural West Virginia on the side of a mountain in the Appalachian Mountains. It was a community of similarly emotionally unstable teenagers. And there was a lot of things I learned there, but there was one thing we did every day that really stuck with me. Every morning we would come together as a community and we would pick one virtue we were going to work on that day. Today, I'm going to work on love. Today, I'm going to work on forgiveness, on mindfulness, on patience. And then we would go about our day as we normally would. And at the end of each day, we would come back together as a community and we would hold each other accountable. And it went as well as you would expect a community.
Such a powerful testimony. But if you're dealing with a fearful avoidant, dismissive avoidant, anxious preoccupied, love might be a source of pain, right? Like, I want it, but every time I had it, from the beginning, it was painful. It hurt. And I went back to the source of hurt to extrapolate that selfish kind of love that Michael Jackson was talking about in Man in the Mirror, right? Heavy stuff tonight, man, if you're just tuning in. I love that call from Nzinga, man. We're talking about or the only help there is self-help. And I'm saying I don't believe you can help yourself until you accept yourself. And that acceptance part, to me, is the biggest part. And Nzinga's call was so amazing because it illuminated, everything is on a spectrum. You say autism is on a spectrum. Narcissism is on a spectrum. But so is self-care. And I would say on the lower end, and when I say lower, I don't mean unnecessary, right? I don't mean irrelevant,
Right.
but I mean on the, let's say the preparation side
Right.
instead of lower,
Right.
right? On the preparation, getting ready to go into that gym and fight those self wounds.
Right.
On that side of the spectrum are the activities, the yoga class, the walks, right? The baths, the music, right? That's the gym part. But when you make that walk, like Mike Tyson, with no towel, no robe, no socks, and you about to get in that ring with you, that's still a part, right, of the self-care practice. Talk to me about that, and then we'll go to our next caller.
Excuse me. Well, you know you best. So you're making that walk with Mike Tyson and you get in the ring with you know all your moves.
Ooh.
So you can anticipate them, you can prepare yourself for them. But the reality is, I used to say to my son, you can't win just playing defense.
Come on.
So you're going to have to swing. And you're not going to feel like you're in a fight that you can win unless you connect.
Come on.
So you have to be able to look at yourself and then take those pieces of yourself that you are looking at that, well, you may say it's something that needs to work on, and then actually begin to work on it.
Come on. My son was or is left-handed.
Right.
I said, hey, you want to go to UCLA, USC at the time? You got to get that right hand together, or we gonna be over here. We gonna be at West LA. That's it. Come on, no disrespect to West LA. I'm just saying, you want these scholarships. You better get that right hand together. You better balance that attack. We got a caller on the line. I want to get him, but this is what I'm gonna do. Callers, sit tight. We're gonna come forward. And after we come forward, we're going to sit down and tackle all of your issues. Trust me, we still got a lot to talk about. Tonight's topic is absolutely amazing. Appreciate y'all. Here's a question. Coach and Zoe, can self-acceptance and self-help happen simultaneously?
Can self-help and self-awareness?
He said, can self-acceptance and self-help happen simultaneously?
I think one got to come before the other. You got to accept before you can. Yeah.
We're in the same space.
Yeah.
That was my answer. That's why I wanted to see. I said, let me see if Coach gonna hit it. He hit it out the park. You have to accept yourself before you can care for yourself.
Right.
Because when you haven't accepted yourself, listen to what I'm about to say. Negative self-talk is when you don't care about yourself. Beating yourself up, thinking you're not worthy, that internal masochistic kind of rumination,
All those conversations.
you can't care until you accept completely.
You don't know what you're working on.
So yes, self-acceptance, and he said, can it happen simultaneously? I think the moment you begin to accept yourself, self-care is in work.
Yes.
It's in action.
Yes. Once you know you're wrong, once you know you're wrong, your next step is toward being right.
Well, isn't that accountability?
Yeah.
Personal, internal, like, I got this from the way I was raised. Okay. I can't keep doing this to people.
Right.
Damn, I do this.
Right.
All right, I gotta focus on, now that I see it in the mirror of relationship, let me focus on how I can be present in the moment of that trigger. Right? I know what will trigger me, but now let me go into self-observation mode, devoid of judgment, to be able to say, all right, here comes that trigger. I know it's gonna happen because this person always seems to push I'm watching myself. Now, the old me would, you see what I'm saying? Like, and that's how you continue this healing process. It's many times, man, when we take an eye off ourselves, that's when it's like Jesus take the wheel. You see what I'm saying?
That's I think that's a lot of this is how it's set up. We're programmed to look outside of ourselves.
Yeah.
All the institutions tell you to look elsewhere.
Right. No, that's real. That's real.
Yeah.
That's real.
And that's tough because you do well in institutions, you have an idea of what success is. So now we're in the battle. Right.
Now it's a fight.
Yeah, we're in a battle about what,
Yeah.
How the world, how we're going to look to the world, or how we're going to look to ourselves.
100%. Yeah. No, I agree. Woo! And the good thing is, there's still gonna be some traffic, but not as much as when you were coming. So that's the good thing. You go. It's gonna feel a little less. Wait a minute. Did you do 405?
I did.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
From Van Nuys. But going back north on the 405, it ain't gonna be that bad.
It should be okay.
Well, it's gonna be some traffic now. Hold on. It ain't. Listen, let me just tell you, it ain't never really no traffic in LA. It ain't never really no traffic. It's just certain times the traffic is less congested.
Right.
Now, I remember one time, man, it was like 2:30 in the morning. I said, what are all the thousands of cars doing out here on the...
It must have been a Laker game ended or something?
Well, the Laker game ended 10. What is everybody doing out here? Like, it's really crazy. It's really crazy. And then now that they got that SoFi Stadium over there where the Rams and the Chargers are playing.
Okay.
Going to the game and coming from the game, the streets are like
crazy,
congested, really crazy. So
we don't have that.
So people in LA need to ride horses. When I tell you, it's a mess. Like, So exposure to the true self should always be expected. What do I do if my partner calls into Zoe's show often, but instead of therapy, he points fingers at everyone? That ain't good. Take his ass to therapy.
Yeah.
If that's happening, he gotta go to therapy. The fuck? Go to therapy.
You can see it.
And listening to somebody talk about it is not the same as embodying what they talking about.
Not at all.
Like, oh, you heard it, so it's yours?
No.
So you heard Coach Baruti say something, and because you heard it, you can now teach it? Like, you don't knock it the complete fuck off. Like, what? Oh, you a teacher of this now? Because you heard somebody say it? Come on, man.
No, you're just parenting. You ain't teaching.
Now, you could tell that person hasn't cried enough.
Live in a minute.
Okay.
And, no, that's real talk. Because women cry.
Yes.
Men,
They get it off.
not so much.
Right.
But what people don't realize is when you cry, like that, you guys remember the psychic lawyer when he talked about when you cry? He was like, there is an enzyme released in the tears. Mm-hmm. That enzyme, actually, it has something to do with depression. Mm-hmm. So when you cry, your body is expelling it.
Yeah, you get rid of it.
And so you feel better.
Right.
Men ain't crying out here. No.
Walking around.
I was told, suck it up. And they're holding in all of this trauma, all of this pain, all pathological loneliness. Man. He said he has listened to you for over 10,000 hours, and that makes him an... He gonna hit you with the Malcolm Gladwell? So listen, boy, I'll throw this phone across.
He's a master now.
Ooh.
The first thing is that our brain is not designed to feel good. It's designed to like understand things and like put things in order, okay? So what I mean by that is that like the brain seeks to bring order from chaos. It's all about like generating patterns so that we can understand and make sense of the world. The brain would rather generate a bad pattern that makes us feel bad rather than have chaos and confusion. Okay,
Pause.
This is a really
No,
important...
pause. Bring that back. When I say you're normal, right? If your normal was toxic, you'd rather have that, right?
You know where to go.
What is better might be foreign. And we're all afraid of the unknown. And what did Krishnamurti say? He said, we're not afraid of the unknown. We're afraid of our known coming to an end. So if your known is toxic, that's who I am. There is no self-care until there's self-acceptance. You can't accept yourself until you stop judging, condemning. You understand what I'm saying? Tearing yourself down. There's no way, or suppressing and repressing and hiding and running and escape. Self-acceptance leads to self-care. Heavy stuff tonight. Go ahead, let it rock.
So if you look at people who get into abusive relationships over and over and over again, like why on earth do they do this? Okay, it's an interesting question. It's really fascinating once you understand it. So in the mind of someone who has been in abusive relationships, they have low value. Okay, so like I'm a bad person. I deserve to be treated like crap, right? So we just saw a post about a bunch of shame. So I'm like really ashamed of myself. Like I suck at life. I'm a POS. So then what happens is they like date two people. So one person treats them like a POS and somehow like they wind up with that person. So like what's up with that? Like how does that happen? And it's because the world is congruent, right? So the way that I feel about myself, other people are treating me the way that they should treat me because it's the way that I feel about myself. So the world makes sense. Things are very orderly. Let's stick with that. It's the same reason that like people who are like, super narcissistic will surround themselves by like yes men or like other people who will support their narcissism. I'm the best thing since sliced bread. So I'm going to engage in relationships who help me feel about myself the way that I feel. Okay? So actually it's slightly different in narcissism because we're looking at people to assuage your internal insecurity, but let's not go there for now. The key thing is that human beings will prefer order or a pattern that makes sense to a good pattern. And even if you look at people in abusive relationships who have a history of abusive relationships or a history of trauma, if they enter into a healthy relationship, if you actually talk to them, they don't say, oh, wow, this person is treating me like amazing, like this feels great. I never realized how much self-worth I have.
This is weird.
I never realized what I was worth. That's not actually their experience. Their experience is terrifying and confusing.
See, this is weird. Like, oh my God, you love me? You care? I'm used to disrespect. And I'm used to disrespecting the disrespect. It's my cycle. But you've identified with whatever happened way back when. When you look at any psychological work, most psychologists, most therapists, most clinicians are always doing what? Well, what happened in your childhood? That's where they start the whole process. Wait a minute. This is how you view yourself? Just tell me about your childhood. Tell me what went on way back when, right? Do I have permission to hear this? Oh, yes, you do? Okay. Please share. Open up. You're safe here. It's a safe space. And then you begin to unpack what happened.
Right.
But you cannot become anew until you go back to what birthed you.
Right.
And you have to come back bearing gifts.
Right.
What is the gift? The very thing you don't want in the adult relationship. What do you mean, Zoe? Listen, if your norm is toxic, the person gives you the gift of consideration and love and support. You go, this is weird. I don't want this. You got to go back to your beginning with the very gift they were trying to give you that you pushed away because it was abnormal to you.
Right.
You got to go back to your wounds with that in order to be able to accept it externally. Give it internally in order to accept it external. Relationship is a mirror. Let's go. We got callers on the line. I want to get them all. Chakra Q, College Station, Texas. What are your thoughts on tonight's topic?
Peace, of course, as usual. You know, it's amazing. You've been cooking all week. And shout out to Zinga for,
She was amazing, bro. Yeah.
She was. So let me get this straight. So my past experiences plus my present, condition or what's going on in my life right now is going to dictate my future in so many words. And so in going and using self-help, and kind of changing the perception on what self-help is and going towards those painful and uncomfortable feelings, my question is, at what point do you stop and prevent yourself from falling on your own sword?
Well, of course, for everybody, that's different. But when you come into the realization that the reality that you thought was your reality isn't, and you actually begin to just see yourself for really who you are, man, it's the ultimate form of care.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to stop yourself from doing harm to yourself. So, a little bit what we got in the audio that just played is we are looking for an opportunity to not do so that we can be.
We're looking for an opportunity to not do so that we can be. I don't know if you really heard what he said. We are looking for an opportunity to not do.
Right.
This is why I made the distinction earlier about the spectrum of self-care. Many of us get busy doing.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do this. Let's do some yoga. And I'm saying that's all good if you understand that should be the gymnasium, the training, the 8 weeks of training before you go get in the ring with that wound.
Right.
That needs to see your loving hands. Right?
Right.
That's and many people miss that. Now, I'm going to hit you with this, brother. You said falling on your sword, right?
Right.
What do you mean by that? Do you want to fall on your sword, or are you trying to avoid falling on your sword?
No, I think when, in a nutshell, I know we got other callers, is that...
No, we gonna stay with you until we deal it now.
Yeah, when I first was, blessed or whatever to hear your message, right? And I had to take a whole year off just to dissect and catch up. And I know it's not about catching up, but I had to do a lot of homework just within myself, and that looked horrendous. So to be able to kind of articulate myself and my feelings, like you were talking about, embracing crying, that leveled me up. So now, once I leveled up and had a better understanding of myself, and obviously the concept of everything is kind of a mirror, not just the relationships, but relationships with everyone.
Right.
At what point, if I'm just continuously trying to get better, as we're all works in progress, when do I know if I'm like trying to be my best self? I need to pull back some, because
So let me reframe it.
I'm too deep in the flame.
Let me reframe it. Stop trying to get better. Do you see? Become what you already are. Remember how it works. What you believe you can achieve. What you can conceive, you can achieve. You must see yourself as what you are. Now, mind you, consciousness is very powerful. When you start to recognize the higher qualities within yourself, right? That's the beginning of self-care. But you got to be able to look at wounds without judging wounds.
Right.
Don't you know when you look at a wound without judging it, you're condemning it to death? I know you put it on death row. Okay, let me do it another way. Are you familiar? What's your favorite Marvel character or movie?
Favorite character is probably Beast, and favorite movie is, I don't know, Blade.
So let me just say this. Blade is always close to death. In all three of his Blade movies, somebody done beat Blade up, caught him, drained all of his blood. Be like, oh, I need my serum. Whistler, where's my... Again, they all follow Joseph Campbell's hero's journey. And in the hero's journey, every hero is close to death, which is rebirth. So when you say follow your sword, you should welcome that opportunity. Because there's aspects of your ego that's rooted in a moment that made you feel like you weren't enough. How about that? Does that work for you?
It works for me. I got more work to do.
There you go, man. It ain't gonna stop, brother. We appreciate the heat. Thank you for the call. Let's keep it real. Okay. Theo from South Carolina, we're gonna come to you when we come forward. And Hustle from Miami, Florida. Hustle, you better not be in Miami. Yo, this show fire. Yo, this that one.
Yeah, this is good.
Hey, and when they put it up on the podcast, I'll send it to you.
Okay.
And then you'll be able to send it to your networks of folks and let it proliferate that way. Yo, what up, Miss JB? This show has been one of them ones. Every hero. Neo, almost dead. Neo died.
Can't be born again.
Can't be born again unless you die.
Can't be born again.
Neo. Who? Neo, get up. Home chick was kissing his body. He was dead. Neo, now get up and fuck these people up. Batman, Alfred. Oh, Alfred. They sprayed him with some kind of fear. Alfred. Everybody. Peter Parker. Mr. Starks. I don't want to die, Mr. Stark. Goddamn Black Panther. Everybody, Killmonger killed his ass. That nigga dead. He's in the ice. Y'all better put that fucking purple flower juice in his mouth and bring his ass back. He was dead. Everybody dead. Oh my God. Thank you, Miss JB. Oh my God. Everybody gotta like that. Like her contribution. Miss JB, just come to the lounge. Come to the lounge, Miss JB. I gotta give you a hug for that. Wolverine, dead. Deadpool, dead. Everybody died. So I don't understand, man. We afraid to die.
We're told that it's not supposed to feel. I guess I say, we're under the impression that love is always supposed to feel good.
Wow. That's heavy. Wow. Wow. Women can't go through a hero's journey. Yes, they can.
You see what?
Yes. Listen, you know what? Mo D said it the best way. Cool Mo D said it the best way I ever heard it. He said, men, we crash, we process a little different.
Mm-hmm.
He said sometimes women have to crash in order to learn.
Yeah.
A lot of times men looking for a crash.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck it, I'm gonna keep doing it until something happens. We get out there.
Right.
Women be moving to avoid the crash.
Right.
Let me get what I need without any disruption.
Right.
They're avoiding the crash.
Right.
Mo's like, they have to crash. And then when they crash,
they can see.
That's when, I thought this way, I believe this way.
Right. Right.
See? Man, my playlist has been absolutely crazy tonight. Pete Rock and CL Smooth and Gangstar. We had to do it because the topic is so fire. Is self-help the only help? Not when you won't help yourself, when you're just helping yourself to activities. You got to do more than that. Theo, Charleston, South Carolina. What are your thoughts on tonight's topic? We got to push it quick because we got other callers. So tell me what it is.
Bro, I'll get to it real fast. I'll put it like this. I've been watching your show, like I said, for a long time. And I don't care how much I've watched. I had to face accountability within myself just by hearing what you say. Now, to me, that's like therapy. That's being made aware.
Nah, that's not therapy. I'm going to be the first one.
I understand it's not therapy. I understand it's not therapy.
It's
but
not.
I'm saying, to hear it over and over and over and over and over again, at some point you have to look at the self.
Right.
Right?
Right.
That's all I want to say.
Yeah. You got to look at the self, but just looking at the self sometimes isn't enough. So you see the self through your sight. Are you judging the self while you're seeing it? Are you condemning the self while you're seeing it, observing it?
Yes.
So the next level,
you have to realize you're not perfect.
So,
but
wait,
you're not perfect.
But hold on. You had to give yourself some grace. But then the next level of sight is to be able to see without judgment, without condescension, without condemnation. Now that's another level, to be able to look at what's wrong with you without putting yourself down. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right. It allows you to stop protecting it.
That's why you get to a place of acceptance. I have to realize I have to accept the good and the bad of who I am.
But have you done that, Theo? Don't make me call you to the floor tonight. We got guests here tonight. We got company.
I'll see you in a couple weeks.
Don't make me I'll pull that rug out from under you, boy. Don't make me do it. All right. Thank you, brother. We appreciate it. Hustle from Miami, Florida. Yo, Hustle. Don't laugh at me, Hustle. No, because he playing. He trying, I'm all good now. No, you're not. We know you're not. We just talked to you last week. Go ahead, Hustle. What are your thoughts on tonight's topic, man?
That actually works into what I was going to call about, because I heard something profound today.
Mm-hmm.
It was about some people's journey is to not be healed.
Ooh, We.
Everybody's journey ain't to get it right this go around. And as soon as you learn that, you kind of let people be where they are and go through what they got to go through.
Ooh. Sometimes you just got to let them go on and see for themselves.
I know it hurts, man, because we want to help everybody, but everybody ain't meant to be helped.
Well, that was yesterday's topic. It shouldn't, absolutely not. Hey, my brother, you already know, man. Please be safe out there. I hope you're not in Miami.
I am. I'm not leaving.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Hercules over here. I'm going to pray for you, brother. All right, brother. We appreciate you. Please be safe out there. Hustle is still in harm's way, but we love the brother dearly. And listen, the reason why this topic is so important to me is because I understand that a lot of people are in pain. And they think, if I do this, if I do that, everything, there's an outside point somewhere that leads. It's almost like, let's go see the Oz. You know what I'm saying? The Oz will give me a heart or a brain. And then when you get there, what did Glinda the Good Witch of the West say? If you believe in you, right? Believe in you. You mean to tell me all I had to do was click these heels and I could go? Yeah.
The power was in you all the time.
Always been there. You see, Krishnamurti says it this way: all over the world, human beings are denigrating to a greater or lesser extent. When human relationships become casual, based on pleasure, there is denigration. When self-work becomes casual, based on just feeling good, there is denigration. Yes, I want you to feel good. Yes, I want you to have the soft life. Yes, but I also want you to be prepared to see yourself and embrace yourself as you truly are. Me and Coach Baruti, we started the conversation. It's up to you to finish it. This week has been on fire so far. I'll be back tomorrow with another slapper topic. The voice of reason, always cooking up that fire. Great show, brother.
Appreciate it.
Oh, man, anytime.
Yes.
Anytime, brother. You destroyed. It was great.
All right, I see you guys checking me out. Taylor, go to bed, baby. You got that baby you got to take care of. Tyler, it's good seeing you on here, man. We got to catch up. Cobbin, I will see you when I get back in town.
Hey, that was a great show tonight. I don't know if y'all know, that was one of them ones. That was one of them ones. I appreciate y'all. Everybody. Hey, Pretty Brown Mimi. I hope you safe. Hey.
Yes, sir.
Yo. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Great show tonight. I'm out. Deuces.